John Razimus Hughston here. Going to show you some of my ghost investigation pieces of equipment. Here we have the EDI research device. I've had this for years, since 2018 I believe. It has a geophone on it, which is like a seismograph. Tremors, specifically footsteps, foot movements. It's designed to be put on the floor, put on a table. But I do see ghost investigators hold it in their hand, and the EMF sensor goes off in their hand. Interesting way to use it. I've never used it like that, but I can give it a shot in the future. A lot of EMF sensors that just have blinking lights. It's not very scientific. Blinking lights doesn't mean anything unless there is a number associated with those lights. It's cool. I like it. But, what is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 yellow mean on a seismograph scale, on a geophone scale? Who knows? So it's not scientific data, unfortunately, other than generic scientific data. But it's better than nothing. It's a nice device, has a lot of different features. It does have temperature, EMF, and geophone. We have my two favorite devices. My original Mel meter, which is, I believe, this one right here. The one that has the REM pod feature and the temperature and EMF. The REM pod features is the static field antenna, all rolled into one. Very cool device. This has everything that this one has, minus, I believe, one feature. Oh, that's right. This one has a laser, so maybe one or two features this has in addition to this one. But as long as it has the REM pod feature, here's a REM pod right here. You've probably seen them. Looks like a toy theremin, some people say, which is a fair point. A theremin is a musical instrument with an antenna. You put your hand close to it, it makes a creepy sounds, cool sounds. And I will try to get my hands on a theremin in the future. Why not? If this device can detect spirits, static electricity, static fields, EMF fields coming close to the antenna, then a theremin could do the same thing, theoretically. But they're like $2,000 for a decent theremin. And so that's the only reason I haven't picked one up. But I'm open to picking one up in the future. So back to this case. Here's my new tri-field digital meter. Very cool. Haven't even used it on ghost investigation yet. Spirit investigation. This is one of my newest devices, my second newest device. The NORAD, which doesn't stand for anything other than no radiation, because the company focused on radiation detectors. But this particular device might have been a flop. You don't see them, it's very rare, because it focuses on static field. It's an electric field meter. I've already tested it on static fields. It works perfectly. Unlike most static field meters out there, I'm talking about professional grade ones, you don't have to hold a button down. You don't have to hook it up to anything. Most static field meters, you have to hook up to something, or you have to hold a button down with your finger. And the ones where you don't, usually don't work so good. This is an exception. This one works great. It clearly looks a lot like a tri-field meter, the analog looking tri-field meter, the older version of this, but it's not. It only focuses on the kilovolts of static fields and volts of static fields, and that's scientifically very useful information if you can get a spirit to set that off. I focus on static field devices, which is why I got one here, 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 and here, because static fields are amazing when it comes to detecting spirits. Most ghost hunters focus on EMF. EMF is technically different than static fields. EMF and static fields can be intertwined, but they can be separated and be completely, totally different things. For example, the socket of your wall, all right? I don't have a socket in front of me, but even this can emit EMF, a little bit of electromagnetic field, because it's connected up to a wire, and that wire can leak a little bit of harmless EMF. It's not the best example, but any type of socket on your wall can emit a little bit of EMF. If you want to know which ones emit what, which ones leak what, test it out with the EMF devices. You will see they do leak harmless amounts, no big deal. But they're not going to emit static fields unless you walk around like me in my socks and you rub your feet on the carpet. Luckily, I don't have any carpet. My place, well, I have a tiny bit of carpet right here. But other than that, my place is all wood floors, if you will. It's imitation wood floors, but very cool. And, just for the Swiffer possibilities, I opted for the wood floors, wood paneling looking floors. Had nothing to do with statics, electricity, but it's actually a pretty good way to stop it. Although, I'm sure I can build up some static fields by doing this. Our hands have natural static fields around it. And spirit entities, I believe, have natural static fields around them, around their spirit bodies, their spirit orbs, their spirit essence, their spirit being, whatever the case. I know of a surety. Static fields can be manipulated by spirits. So this is more of my off-the-wall static field meters. This is more of my scientific static field meters. But you know what? The future of ghost investigating, ghost hunting, is a lot more sophisticated. We are living in perhaps the golden age of the beginning of the birth of actual electronic devices which can pierce the veil, break the veil, see the other side of the veil, break on through to the other side of the dimensions, and see, if you will, spirit entities via numbers. I can see, this is a 3.3 milligauss EMF spike going on, and this house has no power. That's unusual. I have 10,000 volts of static electricity in the middle of the air for no reason. That's unusual. And you can see the invisible with these devices. And some spirits, I've noticed, are familiar with the devices to an extent where they keep their distance. Some are act like they're totally unfamiliar and they start playing with it, like, what's that? And the second they realize what it is, they keep their distance to an extreme degree. Some continue to play and have no fear. They're like, okay, that's interesting. I'll answer yes or no questions. And it can get into dangerous territory. Ghost hunting is not for everyone. I do not recommend it for anyone, personally speaking. So why do I have this? Why do I collect this? Why do I do this? Because of my story. Told it many, 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 many times. Not going to tell it again in this video, but spirits exist. They're real. Scientifically, they can be proven. If mainstream science invested even 1/1,000,000th of the energy I invest in proving spirits exist, overnight, immediately, the scientific community would accept they exist, accept these devices can show and prove they exist with numbers, cold hard facts and data, and it would be revolutionary to the world. Mainstream scientists, they're scared the subject. It's a taboo subject. They're fearful of the unknown, of the supernatural. They discount the supernatural existing because they can't control it. And if they can't control it, they're scared of it. Here are some of my other devices. We have some of my smaller cameras. These 3 Panasonic cameras are way better than GoPros. Got a couple GoPros here as backups for natural light, daylight. But I prefer, for spirit investigation, these Panasonic mini cameras from 2015 because they have an infrared lens specifically designed to see in the dark. Spirits see in the dark perfectly. Here's my audio case. This one goes right there. This is my original Tascam, the DR07 Mark II. I got the DR05 because a lot of good reviews on it, but also because, when I put this in my pocket, it has different features, and it doesn't work so great when I do this and that. Hopefully I didn't mess up the recording even doing that. Such is not going to be the case. These don't move. But, I got this one that moves. Thought it was cool. I wanted to potentially get EVPs in a room. Different modes are like close by and the whole room. And so, they can be useful. I believe this one, and this one, and this one work great with transferring the MP3s or the WAV files, whatever it's recorded on, onto the computer. No big deal. I focus on, as you can see, stereo with 2 microphones. Every single one of these has 2 microphones. Just in case I get an EVP, I can get it in stereo quality. This one is in this case because I recorded some really good EVPs at the Tucson Tunnel with this device. I had a lapel mic plugged in here, and that's how I got the recording off here. But I had to play it back with the device plugged into my computer with an audio jack, because unfortunately, even though it has a card which you can easily pop in anything, this particular Sony recorder, and it has the old-fashioned big memory stick, the giant SD card, unfortunately it has a secret software, some secret Sony software where you can't do anything with the audio unless you have the special ancient Sony software. So unfortunately, I can only get it through that audio jack. But these other ones, you can transfer, I believe, the sound files directly to the computer. Do your research before you buy one of these, so you know if you're not stuck with some ancient software you need to try to use. It is outdated, it's made for Windows 95 or whatever. But these are all good pieces of equipment. Here's my newest device I already talked about. It's my PSB-7T Spirit Box from Gary Galka. Very cool Spirit Box. Hesitant about using it. Definitely not going to use it in my house. I'm going to use it at a haunted location, or we will see. I'm only going to show you the footage if I capture something. I've spent thousands of dollars on these pieces of equipment, if you include all of them together. And it's because I want to capture the real deal, and I have on many occasions. Nothing phenomenal. I have to admit, I've never caught levitation of an object, although I've seen that many times. I'll give a brief overview in a few seconds for those that never heard my story. In the year 2011, I rented a room that had a full-blown poltergeist, which I later concluded was 2 individual poltergeists. I thought it was one because they acted as one. 2 poltergeists moving stuff in my room for 6 months in a row. It's 5.5 months, but I rounded up to 6 months. Because when I moved, they followed, and they seemed to move things here and there slightly. I moved literally, we're talking less than 1 mile down the road of the actual road. Both houses were on Drake. Drake Drive, Drake Street, Drake Avenue, can't remember. But don't want to go into detail. But I live not too far from the location. Fortunately, this house, my new house I just moved into, everything's fine, everything's cool. Not going to do any investigations here. Not going to happen. I like the everything being cool, nothing crazy happening atmosphere. I really enjoy that. But I saw firsthand. I was a host, not just a few glimpses, but I saw the full-blown magic show, if you will, in front of my face, of two poltergeists moving objects in front of my eyeballs as I watched, within 10 feet of me, within 5 feet of me, moving stuff in front of my face for 5.5 months straight, every single day. I saw up to 10 to 20 objects a evening. And when I say saw, let's face it, I saw one or two in front of my face. And I told them to leave, go away. I would watch a movie, I'd play a video game, I would read a book. I would try to play well on my keyboard, make some music with my synthesizer, and then I'd go to sleep. And the activity continued, and they tried to keep me up all night by moving stuff. So I didn't see all of the 10 objects moved. I would have heard a good 8 of them and saw 2 of them in front of my face. I can't tell you how many times I saw it in front of my face, but I would say in the hundreds of times I saw stuff moving in front of my face. Cups knocked over, boxes knocked over. I saw in front of my face was a stack of 3 boxes. They knocked over 2 of the 3 boxes. One of the boxes was still there. But I had 3 boxes stacked in front of my closet. I was particularly angry that evening. Told them to leave many times. They came back 1 hour later after I commanded them to leave every single time. And I sensed, almost with a... It reminds me of Star Wars, you know, when Luke has the blaster helmet on, he's sensing where that practice droid is shooting with the lightsaber. I sensed where the entity was. I sensed it was in my closet or in front of my closet. And I looked straight at where I thought it was. And I said, I command you to leave. Get out of here. In the name of Jesus Christ. I command you to get out of my room and leave. And the 2 boxes knocked over immediately, within seconds, and I was standing probably 7 feet away. Maybe 6 feet away, maybe 5 feet away. But I was considerably far away, not moving other than my hand gestures saying, get out of here. And it wasn't an earthquake. I didn't live near any railroad tracks. Before... And even after, they continued. They always came back 1 hour later on the dot. Even remembering that and talking about it, brings back negative emotions, but I'm 100% over it. And the result is many things. I'm not fearful of the subject to the point where no longer are they going to be bothering me. It's the realm where I go and bother them. No longer are they going to be hunting me. I go out of my way to hunt them, to an extent, if you will. Now, I only hunt to capture evidence. Humans can't harm them, and to be honest, they can't harm us, except for, they can cause someone to lose sleep. I did lose sleep out of 5.5 months of harassment. I overslept one night, and I showed up at work 1 hour late, just that once. And I had perfect attendance for 2 years straight. But that one time, because of the poltergeist harassment, I showed up late. Nobody noticed I was late, and I actually told them I was late, and they're like, oh, we didn't know. We thought you were here the whole time. Should have just kept my mouth shut, but they would have noticed on the clock in. But no big deal. Except for it was a big deal. But I'm over it, 100%, to the point where I investigate them. And they're definitely fearful of not being invisible. These entities are so comfortable being invisible that when you pick up something like this, some of them react fearfully to it. This is the golden age of this type of equipment. I believe in 100 years, we're going to have stuff similar to this that's off the wall, over the top, showing them like the Predator saw his victims in that movie, The Predator. We're talking full-blown, we'll see the outline, the whole body, we'll hear the voice, we'll have full-blown communication conversations, probably. I can't imagine science will be like, oh no, they don't exist, that's not, that. Okay, we have to admit it. It's just up in there. It's kind of like the UFO phenomena. The UFO phenomenon is becoming widely accepted. Probably because it's TV shows like Ancient Aliens. The ancients are seen as idiots that didn't know what they were talking about, didn't know what they were doing. Just flights of fancy. Just making stuff up. Just the mythology of all these spirit entities. And they just made it up because they're bored. They didn't have TV. Nope. The ancients were geniuses, spiritually speaking, compared to modern man. We are spiritually dead compared to the ancients on a global level. Individually, there are spiritual giants all over the place. And there are spiritual dead zones all over the place. People don't believe in mass numbers. I believe to the point where I don't believe anymore. I know of a surety of a fact, but it's a personal fact. You can't, when you know as much as I know, you can't give it on over to someone else. A non-believer can't be forced to believe. So it's an endless battle. But, I consider myself more professional than most. I will continue, and I will actually get out of my house and investigate. I worked full-time. I'm working tomorrow. I worked today. I worked yesterday. But I have a couple days off. I will try to investigate haunted locations near me. And I will bring this equipment to those locations. It'd be cool if I had a team. But it's such a scary phenomenon. You don't even find people willing to join a team. Other than them wanting to tag along and see what you do. I'm not interested in people tagging along, really, to be honest. I want someone with abilities or equipment to bring something to the table. That'd be nice, but no big deal. If I don't find that ever in my life, no big deal. I'm content as a solo investigator, if need be. My documentary, The Grist Mill Ghost, isn't complete. I never visited the Grist Mill Ghost in 2020, not a single time. Because 2020 was filled with so much strife, so many horrible things that I didn't want to increase anything on the negative scale. And I don't think necessarily that would have done much, but I was too busy. I was busy looking for a job, and when I got a job, I was too busy working. On one of my days off, I will go to the grist mill again, and hopefully finish that grist mill documentary. Stay tuned, more episodes coming soon. John Razimus Hughston, be seeing you.